I'm Marcus Blake here at the studio at That Nerd Show, and we are doing virtual film interviews from the Lake County Film Festival. And I am speaking with director Röckët Stähr about his film, Death of a Rockstar. I just want to start out by saying, cool animation. I felt like I was in this really wild ride of a music video. Love the music. It was great to kind of put in the background while I was also working at the same time. So compliments to you on that.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate hearing that.
Yeah. Also, love the get up. This is yeah.
Excuse me.
Yeah. Just kidding.
Believe it or not, outside of the makeup, these are my regular clothes.
No, that's not the makeup. No. I
actually am.
Love the look though. All right, so let's start with this. Why animation? Why do you feel like this was the best way to tell your story through animation?
I don't know that I initially did. I just kind of originally, when I kind of came up with the idea that I wanted to do a rock opera and try to make this as short a story as I can, I was going to go to a friend of mine and ask him to write a script, just give him a bunch of my songs and say, can you make something out of this? And an entire story hit me one day like a bolt of lightning out of nowhere. And I just kind of put a bunch of my songs together, wrote some new ones. And at that point, I just thought, I didn't know what it was going to be. I thought maybe it could be a stage production. I even thought maybe puppets. I did, it was, pretty quickly, I think I kind of hit on, it would be great if it was animated. I love, like the movie Heavy Metal, and I love.
I was going to say that. That's the feeling that I got.
My favorite animation, somebody was just asking me this earlier today, is the animation that Gerald Scarfe did for, I think that's how you pronounce his name, in The Wall. Pink
right.
Now, obviously, I could never afford to do anything close to those things. And I'm not an animator or illustrator,
right.
Oddly enough. I would have never sought to animate an entire movie on my own. That's insane. Who does that? I naively kind of like emailed a bunch of independent animators and independent animation houses and sent them a script that I wrote and some songs. Was like, hey, you want to animate this for me? And they're like, yeah, this sounds cool, but do you have millions of dollars? So eventually I was just kind of at a point where I just decided I was going to start illustrating kind of just sort of scenes within the scenes, like just kind of images from it, kind of almost like an animatronic
right.
kind of thing. That maybe if I designed the characters and the look and everything of it, and then eventually put that out there, almost like you were watching a comic book to music, maybe I can get some funding or something. And as I was going along with it, I was doing this in an animation program, and I kind of had to teach myself to illustrate because I wasn't an illustrator. When I was younger, I did portraits, but that's very realistic. Sure. It's a different skill set. And so when I was doing a few of these images, I got to one of them, and I was like, well, how am I going to kind of let people realize that these kind of robotic arms are moving when they're putting this one army guy's clothes on and all this stuff? And I was like, well, let me just learn some rudimentary animation skills in this program and make the arm move. And I did that. And then I was like, well, but now it kind of looks static, the rest of it. So let me see if I can just make his jacket rip off. And before I knew it, I was animating the entire movie.
No.
You just kind of kept doing. It's like when there's something dirty and, for some reason you clean a little spot and then it makes you really realize how dirty the rest is. So you just kind of start cleaning the rest and you find yourself cleaning the entire thing. That's how it went, basically.
Nice. Well, it's interesting. There's so many different things about dystopian worlds, but we never think what a dystopian world without music or without rock and roll. So that was the concept that immediately drew me to your film is, well, what if we don't have that? What if we are living in a society where there is that kind of music. There isn't that freedom again. And what do you do?
Yeah.
So in doing a rock opera,
Mhm.
how do you base your influences on that? Because I heard everything from Queen to a little bit of Meatloaf in there, Kiss.
Fan, big Meatloaf fan. Queen is, they're one of my top 4 favorite bands of all time. Basically, Freddie Mercury is actually my musical hero.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
So huge influence, obviously, on what I do. Even though I wasn't really quite setting out for this to sound as Queenish as it did, that's a whole story in of itself. Meatloaf, definitely a big influence. Jim Steinman is a fantastic songwriter. And I was actually managed for about a year, many years ago, by the same guy who discovered Meatloaf and got that hell out there. And is still currently, or at least then, he was still Jim Steinman's manager. A guy named David Sonnenberg. Yeah.
Okay. I've heard the name. Yeah.
Yeah. I was met for about a year. All these are long stories, but yeah. So big influence there also. As far as opera stuff goes, Rocky Horror Picture Show, which isn't an opera, it's a musical, obviously.
Right.
And the Angry Inch was a big influence on me. Again, not an opera, but that music and that idea of the story with the music was big. Jesus Christ Superstar, that is a rock opera. Huge.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely love it. And I'm an atheist. I'm a non-religious person, but can I curse on here?
Yes, you can.
I fucking love that opera and the movie. And that's one when I got into it years ago that people were telling me, you should make a rock opera. Your music sounds like it should be a rock opera. And Jesus Christ Superstar, and I was like, Andrew Lloyd Webber, Cats? Like that's what you hear in my music, and they were like, "No, man, you got to go hear the original Jesus Christ Superstar."
I'll put it this way: I would rather watch your film over and over than have to sit through that latest Cats movie today.
I'm really looking forward to watching that. I haven't seen it yet, but it is so absurd looking that I'm like, well, how can I not enjoy this on some level?
I don't think there's enough acid in the world. Get me through it. And we're not promoting drugs on this interview. We just want to say that for the lawyers. So, I mean, you just started writing all of this music. You didn't, I mean, there was no intention of doing a rock opera with it. You just kind of put all your music together and that's what it ended up being.
Yeah, I mean, this stuff, there's riffs in this that go back to, I mean, let's reveal my age. A lady would never do that. That go back to the early 90s. When I was in my late teens, early 20s, there's little bits of music that I ended up using in here. The actual title song, Death of a Rock Star, which obviously the movie gets its name from, and it's the first song, that's actually about David Bowie's last show is Ziggy Stardust.
Oh, wow.
Lyrics with that in mind. I have a really cool magazine, an NME. It's like a compilation of old NME reviews and interviews and stuff through the entire glam period. And there was an interview in there with Bowie about his last show as Ziggy and why he did that. It was like right after it, basically. And a lot of it I took from that, where he felt like the character was originally a way he could be free, but eventually he felt like it was a prison, like it was killing the man, and he couldn't like expand himself creatively. And so that's what, if you listen to the lyrics, I didn't change any of the lyrics when I put it in the film. That's what I'm actually singing about.
Nice. I can definitely see the Bowie influence in there as well.
There are songs I wrote for the opera. I got maybe about 70% of the songs were either ones that I had finished, ones that I had the music and ideas in my head for, but I never did anything with, and maybe about 35% of them I had to think, well, I need a song for here. Let me just bang something out really quick and make that work.
Yeah, and those tend to be kind of the best songs. You know, the ones that are like,
I
I'm
think
just
you're
kind
actually the worst in this one.
of, well. All right, so because you're a musician and because of this, I actually have two very nerdy questions for you. We always like to end our interviews with nerdy questions. The first one is regards to music. What is the one band that you can just listen to nonstop? I mean, just that go-to band for you. I know there's a lot, but just one band.
There's a number of them, but if there was, like, say, if it's like there's only one band you could ever listen to again, it would be the Beatles.
Okay.
They're my number one. I mean, I'm a huge Guns N' Roses fan, huge Queen fan, huge Zeppelin fan, so many, Aerosmith, Fleetwood Mac. But for me, there's the Beatles, and then everybody else starts.
I'm going to give you a challenge. I used to work at a radio station, a biker radio station. We had to dress up as bikers, which most people don't believe I did that, but because they live stream everything. It's called the Beatles Top 21. You pick your top 21 Beatles songs, and then you put them in order on how they should be played.
Oh, Jesus, right now?
No, not right now. I'm giving you a challenge as a musician to think about that.
Okay.
And you'll rewrite your list multiple times.
Right.
So, okay. Final nerdy question. If you could have a weapon of choice or a superpower from within the nerd universe to fight the forces of evil, what would it be?
So within the nerd universe, so this has to be like, either lightning bolts shooting from my hands or a lightsaber or
Could be anything, or it could be two things.
Oh, two things. Well, I thought you said one thing.
Well, you can do one, but a lot of people like to throw two in there as well.
Right. Wow, that's a hell of a question. I think I would go with a lightsaber, or the Force.
Right.
I guess your lightsaber comes with the Force. It's like a package deal, I suppose, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. If you have the Force, then there's a lightsaber calling you somewhere or something like that. So yeah, that's what I'd have to go with. I wouldn't call myself a nerd. That's for you nerds. I'm a rock and roller. but my first love as a child was Star Wars. So, and I originally actually wanted, when I was a kid, before I got into rock and roll, before Guns N' Roses broke big and changed my whole world, I wanted to be a special effects artist. I was really into horror movies and sci-fi in the 80s. And so yeah, it's got to be something Star Wars related, the original trilogy.
Always.
Mandalorian's great too, so something from there would be cool.
Great. Always a great answer and stuff. And like I said, I really did love your movie. It was fantastic, and the music was great.